back to Trib Live Radio special draft recap podcast here. The 2016 NFL draft is now in the books. Talk about some of the local ties that went in the NFL draft. Now undrafted free agents, signings happening left and right. Very pleased to be joined by Tribune Review Pitt beat writer Jerry DiPaola. He joins me now to recap. We got again one Pitt player drafted. Tyler Boyd, no surprise. Last night,
big party.
Going to the Cincinnati Bengals. You were at the party.
Food, bartender, everything. It was quite a.
That's why you were there, Jerry.
I didn't partake. I had work to do. Kevin Gorman and I were both there.
True pros.
We were doing nothing but doing our jobs.
Stronger men than I. Well, tell us about the family's reaction. Tyler's reaction. A Clairton kid playing at Pitt, Steelers fan, becomes a Bengal.
It was pretty neat because they got together Thursday night and Friday night at the Omni William Penn downtown, which is a beautiful hotel.
Sure.
And they had a suite Thursday night, and they had a big conference ballroom, a big ballroom Friday night. And Thursday night, and I talked to Tyler about halfway through the draft. ESPN was there to record his reaction, and they told him he had to be seated at a couch and not move after the 15th pick because they were afraid they would miss him if his reaction. But he wasn't picked Thursday night. He was okay with that. He was very mature about it. He wasn't complaining. He probably believes he's better than a lot of those guys who were taken, but he's not the kind of wide receiver that with great speed like Will Fuller from Notre Dame who can take the top off a defense. He's more of a possession type guy with great hands, runs great routes. So the next night, Friday night, started at 6 o'clock, and the second round is going on and on for 1 hour, 2 hours. A couple wide receivers were taken. A guy from Oklahoma, because Michael Thomas from Ohio State was taken, I believe it was. So 6 wide receivers were taken in the first and second rounds before Boyd was taken. So he was walking around with his buddies, Titus Howard and Terrish Webb, his Clairton buddies, and James Conner was there, and they were walking around, trying to pass time, and all of a sudden you heard a commotion coming from a room adjacent to the ballroom, and then Tyler's on the phone, his agent is hugging people, and then he's on the phone talking to the Bengals, and it was pretty exciting. He actually got the call 2 picks before it was recorded, before it was announced on TV.
Oh, okay.
Which is the way it works. It's sort of a delay going on with TV. And he was hugging everybody, his mother, his grandfather. He's holding his 2-year-old daughter. Yep. It was pretty neat scene, actually.
From Jerry's article on TribLive.com, a lot of perspective from his mother talking about all the different phases that they've gone through. Every son has their steps they take in life, but for us, it was, not just high school graduation and prom, but it was then recruiting and then going through this draft process. And now we've arrived. And it seemed like she was really taking a moment to step back and appreciate everything that these last 5 or so years have entailed.
Tanya Payne has been a very, very good mother for Tyler. Tried to keep him on a straight and narrow most of the time, and she's done a real good job raising him. And it's one of the, I made this point last night. I was with Kevin Gorman, and I said to Gorman, I says, Tyler has a lot of guys, a lot of people looking out for him. Clairton's a small town. Everybody knows everybody, and the football program there is what makes the town, what put the town on the map.
Sure.
And it's very, very important to those people. And players like Tyler, who's probably the best player to come out of Clairton, and they have had some players go to the NFL prior to this.
Sure.
I know there's a lot of people looking out for him and making sure he does the right thing. And he was very excited, and like I said in my story, he says, I don't cry often, but I teared up, and he wasn't ashamed to say he teared up.
And he's not going to be expected to step in and be the guy. They've still, the wide receiver depth in Cincinnati isn't quite there with a couple of guys departing, but there's still A.J. Green, there's still Tyler Eifert. It seems like he knew that this was a likely landing spot for him, that they were interested. We heard about the bizarre Civil War history questions that they asked him during his draft interviews, but it seems like he expected that he knew the Bengals were at least high.
He knew they were interested in him, and Thursday night he thought Carolina was really interested in him. And then when Carolina didn't pick him, I was watching him as the draft was going on, and his phone wasn't ringing, but he didn't seem all that disappointed. He hit it very well. Like I said, very mature. He's grown up a lot in the 3 years he's been at Pitt. He did have the DUI last year. He's learned from that. His mother talked about that in a story I wrote this past week, how she didn't want it to happen, but the fact that it did happen helped him to grow up.
Sure.
And we do have some breaking news, by the way.
Yes, Jerry DiPaola is my guest, and right before we came back for this podcast, breaking news. Oh, I said Tyler Boyd was the only player drafted, but things are moving fast and furious, signing undrafted free agents, and one big name from Pitt has found a landing spot.
The first undrafted free agent to sign for Pitt is J.P. Holtz, the tight end from Shaler High School. I just got off the phone with him a few minutes ago, and he said he's had a bunch of teams call him, but he wanted to get it over with quickly, and he decided to go to Cleveland.
So 2 Pitt players, Tyler Boyd and J.P. Holtz, 2 key offensive contributors, both going in the AFC North, not to the Steelers, but to the Bengals and Browns, respectively.
There's a wide world out there.
It is. Got to expand your horizons.
Should understand that.
Absolutely.
Not just Pittsburgh.
So best of luck to both Tyler and J.P. We'll be talking about how they fit in with their new teams in the AFC North, much more, with Jerry DiPaola to talk about some more of the other local draftees coming up. I'm Mike Grau. This is Trib Live Radio.